Nothing this offseason.
Brought to you by Bigelow Tea, Corona, Gravely Zero-Turn Lawnmowers, Jackson Lumber, Team Impact, Blue Moon Belgian White, and FindMassMoney.gov. On 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Shot to center field. Duran racing back. Track wall turning around. It's gone. Up out of the berm. Bayo gives up a bomb, and it's 2-0 Cardinals. That didn't take long. High drive in the left center field deep. Duran back to the wall, and that one is out of here. Second home run tonight on Bayo as Gorman touches them all, and St. Louis quickly regains the lead 3-2.
It's a 97 mile per hour sinker, but look at the location. I mean, if you're looking for a fastball to hit, that's exactly where you're looking. When you're facing a sinker ball guy, you tell me out of the hands, I got to see this up.
High deep drive to right. Abreu all the way back, and see you later.
It's another missed location by Brian Bayo. Right, you can throw whatever you want. If it's over the heart of the plate and up, you're going to get hit. It's the big leagues.
A couple times he's looked in at the home plate umpire Vondrak and been unhappy with the strike zone, but he's been getting hit hard tonight.
I know I'm going back to Friday night. Red Sox got their teeth kicked in by the St. Louis Cardinals, and they lost again on Saturday. They won yesterday. If any of you watched it, it's on Roku. It's hard enough to watch the Red Sox when they're on cable or they're on national TV, let alone having to watch them on Roku. But this is where we begin tonight. 617-779-0985 is your phone number on the baseball hour. Emphasis on hour. That's right. We have a full 1 hour program tonight. I said this at the end of last week. I'm going to continue to say it. That my question for those of you out there this year, and I mean this seriously, if you are watching these games, and this began with me saying that the television ratings for the Red Sox this season have been extremely low. Some of that is because of the Bruins being in the playoffs, the Celtics now in the Eastern Conference Finals. Years ago, when people my age were growing up, the Red Sox were a non-story until June. Kids got out of school, Celtics and Bruins were done, then people started talking baseball. That all changed in the early part of this millennium, or the late part of the last one, when Pedro Martinez came to Boston. Interest in the Red Sox soared. They sold the team. They won championships. They became a phenomenon. They were sort of a phenomenon before that, but you get the idea. Now it's going back the other way again. So if you are watching this season, if you are one of those people, I ask the question, what is inspiring you to watch? Do you think they are building something? Do you watch to see the young players as a result of that? Or do you just love baseball so much that you can't give it up? Because of the majority of people, or the majority of people that are watching, is the way I should say it, those people are really older than I am, which should tell you plenty. So again, that's really more of a big picture Red Sox and baseball question. How annoyed are you with the team? You want to blast ownership for being responsible for this? You want to blame Chaim Bloom? Shouldn't they be better than they are now? That's always on the table. It's going to be there all year. Because frankly, not many of you really care about the team on the field because you're not watching the games. But part of my job is to fill you in on what is going on. So I will ask you, what if, Jimmy Stewart, what if the pitching on this team isn't as good as we think? What if some of the things we've seen in the early part of this season are really just an aberration, and that the Red Sox go back to being what they were the last couple of years, which is effectively a last-place team? They're 6-11 in their last 17 games. The pitching over the weekend, for the most part, Nick Pivetta was good in the game on Saturday, despite the final score, which I think was 7-2, if I remember right. They got pounded on Friday night. Bayo gave up 3 home runs. But what if the pitching isn't as good as we think it is? And let me paint a scenario for you that is a little bleak and a little scary. So right now, the Red Sox are number 2 in the majors in ERA. They have been number 1 for the majority of the season, really up until the weekend. Now they've dropped. So again, what if this continues to slide? And by the way, the Yankees are number one. Garrett Whitlock is injured again, elbow injury. He's not going to pitch for a little while. They've shut him down. He was supposed to come back, in the coming days.
He was supposed to be pitching tonight.
Okay,
and Cora's going to have more after the game on an update on Whitlock.
Okay, so again, this does not sound promising on Garrett Whitlock. So Garrett Whitlock may be shut down for a while if he's not done entirely. This feels like a Tommy John type of situation. Go ahead, Jimmy.
They're also altering Brian Mata's return from reliever to potential starter. So they're lengthening. They're giving length to his rehab so that he can pitch as a starter.
Okay, stretching him out. So you get the idea. All these things. Tanner Houck overall this year has been pretty good. Crawford has been a little more hit and miss, but good. Nick Pivetta pitched really well. Looks like he's starting to gain some momentum again. But let me ask you about Brian Bayo. Brian Bayo has given up 8 home runs this year now, which for a guy who has a power sinker is way too many. Tied for 15th most in the major leagues with that number. Put it this way, the major league leader has given up 11. Bayo has given up 8. Too many. He's on basically what amounts to a 30 home run pace or thereabouts. The offense has been, dare I say, mediocre overall. 13th in runs, 9th in OPS, not bad. Of late, it hasn't been very good, despite the burst yesterday. Rafael Devers has homered in 5 straight. I'm giving you just some of the background. But on Bayo specifically, do you know that the overall ERA in Major League Baseball this year has dropped by almost 0.4 of a run? That's a huge number. Huge. Last year, the ERA in baseball overall in the entire game was 4.33. This year, it's 3.96, which is exactly what Brian Bayo's ERA is. So you follow me? You see where I'm going with this? Bayo is average. Bayo has been average. Whitlock is hurt. Houck has been pretty good. Of those 3 guys, you really needed 2 to pan out or 1 to be so freaking good that he could carry the whole staff by himself. Houck has been good. He hasn't been quite that good. So, again, what if it goes the other way? And you start looking at the pitchers, you say, well, this is going to work. Now it looks like it's starting to turn. Whitlock hurt again. Bayo gets bombed. So what are you left with from there? Cooper Criswell? How does the future of pitching look now? 617-779-0985. Let's go to Brian in the car first. Brian, what do you got?
How's it going? 2 quick points. The reasons I watch baseball, one is because at my ripe old age of 29, I love nothing more than betting a 3-leg home run parlay on a Tuesday.
Okay.
And 2, so I got mad. I got to know what you're saying. I got to know how to agree with you or disagree with you. At the end of the day, you're the reason why so many people watch baseball around here. Thank you. I'll hang up and listen.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. So I guess I'm asking why you watch the games, and it's okay. Thank you for the compliment. But the 3-legged parlay, you can follow that on the box score. You don't need to watch the game to do that. You just keep an eye on the box score. You know, you don't have to watch every at-bat of a game to follow the parlay. So I disagree. I don't think that's the real reason you're watching. Might be because you're watching part of it, clicking over a little, but you can follow that on your phone. I'm talking about watching the game. What if you, and particularly, specifically the Red Sox, if you are interested in this team, I need to know beyond the 3-legged parlay. And by the way, the 3-legged parlay you can do with any team. You can do with multiple teams. You can do all that at the same time. But you get the idea. That's betting. That's not baseball. The 3-legged parlay is you like to bet. So do I. So nothing like a 3-legged parlay, 3 guys to home run. You see if you can, connect. Fine, I get it. But again, you can follow that on your phone. If you are interested in the Red Sox and in baseball this year, I need to know why. Tell me why. What is it about the team that is still captivating your interest? Because frankly, I don't think there are many people out there left like you. And I'm just trying to tell you the truth. There's nobody watching these games. Last night it was on Roku, or yesterday it was on Roku. And by the way, let me tell you, I didn't see any of it. Zippo. I saw highlights. I didn't see the game.
They're the Roku champions, Tony.
They are the Roku. They're 1-0 on Roku. Jimmy is.
Yes, they are. That's history making.
So they're under 500 again. The pitching is starting to get slapped around a little bit. They don't score a ton of runs. What is it about the team? If it is hauling you in, reeling you in any way, I would like to know what that is. A couple of other things I want to get to on the program tonight. Nick Pivetta pitched well over the weekend. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'll explain. Interesting story by Evan Drellick in The Athletic last week that relates to the Red Sox and how they are spending their money. We'll get to that as well because it really relates to something bigger in the game, and I'm just not sure where the Red Sox stand anymore, is what it comes down to. 617-779-0985. All of that next.
This is the Baseball Hour with Tony Maz.
Hey, it's Maz for Exfinity and for Now TV, the best value for live TV and streaming, and all the entertainment you love across live and on-demand channels, all for only $20 a month. That's right, $20 a month. So listen to this. With Now TV, you'll get over 40 live channels and be able to watch movies, shows, and live sports with Peacock Premium, which is included at no extra cost. You can start watching thousands of hours of content in minutes, and you can easily find your favorite live sports, TV, movies, shows, podcasts, and more on your online 4K streaming box. And if you're on the go, you can take your entertainment with you with the Exfinity streaming app on up to 3 devices at the same time. And no fees, no contracts, all for just $20 a month. Postpaid Xfinity, that is Now TV from Xfinity. Postpaid Xfinity internet required, excluding Internet Essentials and Internet Essentials Plus. Taxes at
Here's a pitch for a strike. Pajes is out looking. He strikes out for the second time. It looks like Pivetta and Wong are just playing catch now. 7 strikeouts. Here's a swing and a miss. Siani goes for the high hard one, striking out. Carpenter swings and he pops it up. Short left field. That's about where Nolan Arenado dropped the ball, but the third baseman gives way to the shortstop.
There you go.
And it's Rafaela making the catch where Devers just didn't have a good angle on it and couldn't really see it. The Cardinals didn't do that, and Arenado had the ball go off his glove, and that was a turning point in our game. But Carpenter pops out.
That was from the Saturday game. Nick Pivetta, good outing. Red Sox dominated. Nick Pivetta went 6 innings, 8 strikeouts through 70-some-odd pitches. Nick Pivetta this year, 2-2, 3.04 ERA, 26 2/3 innings, 30 strikeouts, 2 walks for Nick Pivetta on the season. Nick Pivetta, when he's been out there, has been very, very good. Now I want to read to you something from, where did I put it? Sean McAdam, who does, I call him from time to time on Mass Live, Some Things I Think. And McAdam writes about potential moves that the Red Sox could be making at the trading deadline. And one of the, well, let me read to you, I was going to say one of the candidates up for trade is Nick Pivetta, but let me read to you this paragraph. A lot can happen over the next 60 or so games, McAdam writes. But if the Red Sox determine that they are not properly positioned to add, the team could have a number of players who would bring plenty of interest, including closer Kenley Jansen, setup man Chris Martin, starter Nick Pivetta, and outfielder Tyler O'Neill. Okay, now again, Jansen they tried to trade during the offseason. Martin's in the final year of a contract. Pavetta's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. O'Neill's also going to be a free agent. But if I look at those players right there, Nick Pivetta and Tyler O'Neill, well, those are 2 of the better performers on the team this year so far. So is that what this thing's about this year? Are the Red Sox just looking to hang around in it, not be in the race, and then peddle off pieces at the deadline to get draft picks or prospects, or I say draft picks, but really prospects, to get lottery tickets, for lack of a better word? Is that what the Red Sox are doing? Is that the whole idea? I mean, it would add up to why no one's watching, but I know how much ticket prices send fans through the roof. So they're trying to, and Jimmy, correct me if I'm wrong, Red Sox ticket prices didn't go down this past offseason, correct?
They went up on select games.
Okay. So the Red Sox put a half-ass team on the field, increased ticket prices with the idea of what? Trading off guys who are tradable at the trade deadline so, they can, again, gear towards the future. So you're hanging around to watch for what reason? To see these guys do well so they can trade their asses? Now, McAdam goes on to say that the objective of the Red Sox at the trade deadline the last couple of years has lacked clarity and purpose, or the plan has lacked clarity and purpose. So it would be a win to have it more decisive, more clear. That if they were to trade off some of these guys at the deadline, that's better off. At least fans know that they're headed in a certain direction. Let's see what they do. Despite how poorly they have played of late, and again, 6-11 in their last 17 games. They lost the series to the Cardinals. I know they won yesterday, but they lost the series, which you should never celebrate. So, despite all that, they are not that far out of the playoff race. And I'm trying to get you an exact number here in terms of where they are in the wild card race. They are a game and a half out. A game and a half. With a 23-24 record. This is what Dan Shaughnessy talks about when he writes about the illusion of contention. It feels like an illusion. So this is where I'm starting to wonder. What if the bubble for 2024 has burst? What if the pitching can't keep it up? Again, they're not the best ERA in the game anymore. Not that there's anything wrong with being second, but it feels like it's trending in the wrong direction. So what if the pitching isn't there? What if they trade off pieces at the deadline? And the cost to watch a game basically went up? How would you feel about that as a fan? Nolan and Spencer. Nolan, go ahead.
Hey, so the only reason I'm still watching is Rafael Devers, who in a lineup where he's so easy to pitch around, persists and continues to keep mashing, as well as Tristan Casas when he's healthy. I want to see him develop.
So, Nolan, look, Casas hasn't been out there for a while. So, and again, with Devers, I find this part interesting. People who say that they watch games to keep an eye on a particular player or what have you. How do you do that with a positional player when he only bats every 2 or 3 innings? Like that, that one I don't get.
You get fantasy alerts on your phone, Tony.
Bingo.
And I'm not trying to be like smart-assy there, but they have MLB will alert you when a player is in the on-deck circle or coming to bat.
Right, so why do you have to watch the whole game for that?
You don't, actually.
Yeah, you don't. Now, if a guy is pitching, that I get. Like if you say, I want to watch the starting pitchers, that is of interest to me. Jared Carabas made this point last week when he was on the show. And I agree with him, by the way. I like watching pitchers. If you say to me, why are you going to watch the game tonight? More often than not, a pitcher will draw you to the television, which is an entirely different question. But, the idea and a different problem for baseball now, because with the way the game has gone, pitchers are not emphasized anymore, not starters. You get bullpen games. All the managers want is a 5-inning outing. You go 2 times through the lineup. That's it. We're not going to let you face a third time. Hell, the Tampa Bay Rays were in the World Series. Blake Snell was pitching a beauty, and Kevin Cash decided to pull him from the game. In the biggest game of the year for them to that point. So that's a whole different problem. How do you make starting pitchers marquee performers again? That's what'll draw you to a game. The starting pitchers. So if you had said to me, well, I watch because of Bayo, I watch because of Houck, fine. That I get. Rafael Devers, I can see Devers at bats the next day. I can watch them quickly in no time at all. I don't have to watch 2.5 hours. As much as they've shortened the game and improved the product, I don't have to spend 2 hours and 37 minutes watching a live baseball game when I can watch Devers the next day in 10 minutes. Piece of cake. And Devers he's on a hell of a run right now. Homers in 5 straight games. Tying a club record. Although when you hear who held the record, it's not going to impress you all that much. Nonetheless.
Who held the club record,
Bobby
Tony?
Bobby Dahlbeck. Rick and Quincy. Rick, go ahead.
Oh, he's in Worcester
Hi,
now.
Naz. I love your brutal honesty when talking about the Red Sox. There's no sugarcoating. I went from watching all the games to watching no games this year. I actually have not watched not even 1 inning. And I've donated all my Red Sox apparel and caps to the Goodwill. And I think they should change the name from the Boston Red Sox to the Boston Red Sox. Thank you.
Okay, Rick, thanks for the call. Yeah, I've heard that one before. It's hardly new. It's certainly appropriate at this point in time. But again, I just don't know. The part I don't understand is how the Red Sox think that this is going to be appealing to the fan base. And the part that they should be most concerned about is something that I said repeatedly with High and Bloom last year. I was starting to come around a little bit of the early part of this season in terms of the Red Sox developing some young pitching. But again, now Whitlock is hurt. Bayo has been average in the truest sense of the word. Again, the league average for ERA in all of Major League Baseball is 3.96. That includes both starters and relievers. Bayo's ERA is exactly 3.96. Brian Bayo has been the definition of average and at a time when the Red Sox have rewarded him with a new contract. The definition of average. It doesn't get any more average. And they are going nowhere in the American League East with average. So you want to tell me you still think Bayo's young? Fine. Tell me, at what point does he stop being young, and at what point does he start being something better than average? So an average isn't going to draw eyeballs and viewers, and it certainly is not going to promote interest in the team or the sport. There are a lot of guys that are better than Brian Bayo right now. So if the guys that the Red Sox needed to really sort of, again, blossom this season, Bayo, Houck, Whitlock, really, Houck is the only one fulfilling that bill, and that's not enough. They still have a major hole on the staff. They don't really score a ton of runs. It's a relatively mediocre offense. I know they had some injuries. But there is really nothing compelling about this team, which leads to the question of, what are the Red Sox really building toward, or what are they going to be going forward? What is the identity of the franchise going forward? I mentioned this earlier, and I'll bring it up now because I thought it was a really interesting story. Last week in The Athletic, Evan Drellick, who used to work here in town at the Boston Herald, covering baseball, covering the Red Sox, Evan Drellick wrote a story about what MLB's plan is going forward for local broadcasts. The plan may shock you, and the question is, on which side of the line do the Red Sox fall? Because I don't think the answer is all that clear anymore. We'll explain when we come back.
Sports Hub headlines.
The Patriots had their first day of OTAs today. Among the notables not there were receiver Kendrick Bourne and linebacker Matthew Judon. They are both recovering from season-ending injuries suffered last year. The Celtics have an opponent for the Eastern Conference Finals, and it is the Indiana Pacers who took down the New York Knicks in Game 7 yesterday at Madison Square Garden. Game 1 of the East Finals is tomorrow night at TD Garden. In the West, the Minnesota Timberwolves knocked out the defending champion Denver Nuggets last night in Game 7. Timberwolves will now face the Dallas Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals. Stanley Cup playoffs tonight, Game 7 between the Vancouver Canucks and Edmonton Oilers in Vancouver. Puck drop is at 9. That's the first Game 7 in Vancouver since 2011. The Red Sox kick off a 3-game set with the Tampa Bay Rays tonight at Tropicana Field. Tanner Houck gets the start for the Sox. Taj Bradley for the Rays. First pitch is at 6:50. And Xander Schauffele won his first major championship yesterday at the PGA Championship. Schauffele birdied the 18th hole to close it out at a defenseless Valhalla Golf Club.
going to be delivered to you as a consumer on the television, okay, on television. How is it going to be, and I say on the television, or digitally, whatever. How is the game going to be delivered to you from MLB? And there was an interesting story last week. This has been rumored for a long time, but it was written last week by Evan Drellick at The Athletic. And I think it bears mentioning because I think it speaks to how the Red Sox are running their business, at least on some level. But we'll get to it in a moment. I want to take your phone calls first. Martin in Texas. Martin, what do you got?
Hi, Tony. I just wanted to say that I've only missed probably about 2 innings all season. I'm kind of a nut, but you're definitely right on what makes you sit down and watch a game is the pitching. I just want to see how long these guys can either keep it up or if they can figure it out when it comes to the end of the season. And watching the guys that are probably going to be pieces of the future, like Abreu and Duran. But I totally get everybody else that's calling out, but I still can't get enough of it. But maybe I'm just like a masochist or something when it comes to watching baseball.
So, Martin, what I think you are is a diehard. Okay, you're a diehard. And again, and Martin calls the show every night, for those of you who don't know, or pretty close to every night. And listen, I'm not making fun of you for it. I kind of admire it. I always considered myself a baseball diehard, and I would say I've become less of one in the last few years. Now, I still do this show regularly. I'm interested in a good product when the games are good. But I will say in baseball, even in baseball, I have trouble watching out-of-market games. If the Red Sox aren't playing, I'm not going to watch it. The playoffs I'll dig into, particularly if the teams are good. And when I say good, I mean the franchises, not so much the teams. Give me the big-name franchises, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Cubs. Give me those teams and I'll watch. I'm interested in those markets. But most people aren't. And, baseball's become a localized sport, which is in part why this story in The Athletic is so interesting because baseball, again, now it used to be, quote unquote, the national pastime and a national sport. It no longer is. It's local. It's regional. And that's a problem for the game because they can't generate the kind of money they used to, a lot of these networks. Justin in California. Justin, go ahead.
Hey, Matt, how's it going, buddy? I really appreciate the show. Appreciate you all day. I live in California, but I delivered the Globe from 91 to 95. Got my first tickets behind first base from my paper route. So I guess I'm still a delusional idiot because I see a chance every year. I've been here since 01, missed a handful of games. And the reason I'm a fan, and I still watch 04, 07, 13, and 18.
Okay, so look,
Appreciate
again, I would call you a diehard too. I'm laughing because Justin's subject line says, I watch because I'm delusional. And that's okay too. That means you're sort of a blind optimist or a hopeless optimist. You know what I mean? Hopeless romantic, whatever the expression is. You get the idea. That's what you are. Fine. I get it. That's part of the reason I like the starting pitching. In terms of what draws me to the game. You get a couple of good pitchers, now you're in it. You're in it. It doesn't take that much to be in it if you have a couple of good starting pitchers. And the rest of your team is just average. We learned that in the late 90s with Pedro. Now, Pedro was an all-timer, so he did it single-handedly. But you get a couple of guys to do what Houck is doing this year, you're going to be in it. Hell, even one's enough if he's super dominant. He'll keep you in the race all by himself. That's why starting pitchers should be considered for MVP, whether they play 160 games or not. In 98, 99, Pedro was an MVP caliber player. So that's what drives me. That's the delusional part of me. It's okay. The Red Sox don't have enough of that. Eric's in Reading. Go ahead, Eric.
Matt, I still watch because I want to see if Rafaela can become a fun Juan Pierre-style player. I still want to see Jaron Duran swipe bags, maybe leg out some triples. None of the hurdles are really must-watch TV yet, but I still want to watch Kenley close down games, and that's why I still watch, even though they're terrible. Thanks.
Okay, so Eric, again, I would say you're a baseball hardcore. Because at the end of the day, as much as I like the pitching and some of the things you said, Rafaela at times is entertaining. Duran, too. Duran's fun to watch run. But as much as I love that, you know the real reason I watch? To win. To win. The whole idea is to win. And that's the reason why most of you watch. Give me a team that can win, and I'll watch. So even though this team's around 500, the reality is you don't believe in it. So you don't watch. And getting you to believe, that part's on the Red Sox. That part's on them. So they can blame media people or critics or what have you for negativity and all that. But if the team's good, the heat ends up coming back on us. The problem is the team's not good. Mark and Melrose. Go, Mark.
Hey, Matt. First time, long time. Just to touch on what you mentioned as far as the trade deadline, I want Pavetta and I want O'Neill on this team throughout the end of the season, but I also don't want to see them sign with someone else, considering it doesn't look like we can shed out the bucks anymore to pay these guys. And as far as why I still watch, I watch because I'm 36, grew up on the North Shore, and this is just what we do. When the summer comes, we watch the Red Sox, and I've been lucky. My generation's lucky with the 4 rings, but we watch because this is what we do in the summer. And like you said, I am a diehard baseball fan, but I want a good product. So I'm going to hang up and listen.
Yeah, so look, Mark, I'm eager to see what the ratings look like when they get to summer and there's no Celtics and there's no Bruins and it's just the Red Sox. The ratings will go up. They're not going to get anywhere close to what they used to be. And maybe that's never going to happen. So let me just share with you quickly, and if you're on the line, don't hang up. I'm going to get back to you in a second. Baseball, as you all know, is delivered locally. The game is delivered to the viewer locally. You want to watch the Red Sox game more often than not, you watch it on NESN. You want to watch the Yankees, you watch them on the Yes Network. There are a handful of, national games every week, the Apple TV games, or Fox Baseball, or ESPN on Sunday night. That's it. You get those on national TV packages, but there aren't a ton of national packages. The money that teams generate from their broadcasts are on local cable rights usually. MLB is now toying with the idea of changing that. Okay? So let me read to you from this Evan Drellich story. And again, if some of this confuses you, it shouldn't. Think of it this way. Baseball delivers its product a certain way to the viewer. They do it locally. And the teams keep that money. The NFL does it a different way. All the games are on national TV, and they share the money. There is no Patriots television announcer in Boston. I think you all understand this. But now, Commissioner Rob Manfred, and I'm reading from the Evan Drellich story, Commissioner Rob Manfred and some of the sports owners are more seriously talking about nationalizing baseball's TV rates, and they're talking about it more than ever before. Some baseball owners and executives, mostly in smaller markets, believe the best way to grow media revenues over the long haul is to centralize the deal making, and from there to potentially sell all 30 teams' regular season broadcasts as one streaming package. Okay, and then key line here. Others in the game, particularly those whose teams make the most money, are vehemently opposed to surrendering their power over their rights. So you get it? What baseball wants to do is say, instead of the Red Sox putting their games on NESN, selling it themselves and keeping the money, and the Yankees and Tampa Bay Rays doing the same, not fair. This is a long-standing, age-old argument in baseball. The Yankees are in a big market, higher TV revenues. The Yankees say, why would we share with Tampa Bay when we can make all that extra money, put it into our team, and put on a better TV show? I asked Jimmy Stewart this earlier today. Which side are the Red Sox on now? Because it used to be the Red Sox were one of the big market teams. So the Red Sox are one of those clubs that said, well, wait a minute. Our TV revenues are much greater than they are in other places. We want to keep all our TV revenue and we want to put it in there. We want to put that into our product. And that is probably still true. And yet, there was a comment by Sam Kennedy in this story by Evan Drellich, where Sam Kennedy, the Red Sox president, said, everything is on the table for the future because it's so unknown. Look, there's always issues that come up where large market teams have a different view than the small market teams. In the end, the greater good of the industry is what we have to also focus on. So if there are a majority of owners in Major League Baseball who believe that the greater good is to sell all 30 teams together, in other words, let's just say, and give you a rough example, Apple says we want to cover all of Major League Baseball. We will sell an Apple baseball package out to all baseball fans out there, and you have to buy it through us. Meaning, you can buy a one-team package and get the Red Sox games. You can buy an American League East package and get all the AL East games. You can buy an entire MLB.com package and watch any game at any time that you want. But it's all bought through Apple. Now, there might still be Nesson games and there might still be Yes Network games because each team may have its own broadcast teams. But the money all funnels through one spot and they split it evenly among the 30 teams. Which means teams like the Red Sox, teams like the Yankees, teams like the Giants and the Cubs and the Dodgers would have less TV money, and the teams in the smaller markets would have more. So it's not a salary cap, but it is, call it revenue sharing, that should help level out the playing field in the game. But if that's the case, the Red Sox are probably going to spend less, not more. And the Tampa Bay Rays are going to spend more, not less. In theory. And if that's where the game is going, this might just be the tip of the iceberg. And when I say that, I mean the Red Sox might actually be cutting payroll further if it goes down that road. So I'm asking the question, which side are they on? I don't know anymore. I don't know which side the Red Sox are on. Which side are they on? Do they still want their own revenue? My guess is yes. I mean, that feels logical to me. But if Sam Kennedy is telling me that the greater good is the better way to go, and that just might be a comment for Evan Drellick's story, then are the Red Sox actually looking to move into an era where the teams are all equal? When John Henry and his group bought the team, I thought this is what they wanted, and then they spent like crazy. Now I wonder if they're headed back in the other direction and if this is what we're headed for. Back to your calls when we come back.
Stay tuned for more of the Baseball Hour on the Sports Hub.
does this go? And with a kid like this, you just never know. You know, you've seen it in the at-bats today. And over this hitting streak, it's not like he's been white hot and just getting 2 or 3 knocks every night. He's having good at-bats. He's still getting out. But if you give him that one mistake, he's not missing it. You know, this one didn't leave by a couple rows, but he knew it as soon as he hit it.
So Devers ties a franchise record with a homer in his 5th consecutive game for the Red Sox. His hitting streak will be extended to 9 games. And Boston is rolling to a 9-1 lead.
Good run by Rafael Devers. Homered in 5 straight, tying a record set by Bobby Dahlbeck. Talk about taking the air out of the balloon. Holy crap. I can't even say that with a straight face. Breaking a record or tying a record held by Bobby Dahlbeck. That's funny. That is funny. Holy crap. He goes for 6 in a row tonight. Then he'd have it all by himself. All right, quickly squeak in one more call here. Jeff in Norfolk. Oh, no, I guess we're not going to talk to Jeff in Norfolk. Let's try quickly. Bob and Winthrop. Bob, go.
Maz, obviously the lack of great marquee pitching matchups are a problem. Look, if this was a football game, Monday Night Football, and the Chiefs are playing the Bengals, and Joe Burrow gets benched after a quarter and a half and Mahomes doesn't play the second half, we'd be scratching our heads and going crazy, wouldn't we?
Well, so that's the idea, right? The starting pitchers used to be the reason you watched. It was the first question you asked anytime there was a game on or supposed to be a game on. You going to watch a game tonight? Who's pitching? I'll sit in if it's someone good. That'll be a good game. It'll be a competitive game. That's ultimately what you watch for. You watch for the competition. Now, again, it's got to be there's got to be a balance. You need to know that there are going to be exciting plays and home runs. You want it all. But now the starting pitchers have been neutered. The sport has taken a lot of the personal achievement out of the game. Between the analytics and everything, you don't get to watch individual performances anymore. It's ruined it. Anyway, those of you who are on the line and held, thank you. I'm sorry we didn't get to you. We'll try to get to you here in the coming nights. I should tell you up front, there is no baseball hour tomorrow night. Okay, even though the Celtics aren't on till 8 o'clock, because it's game 1 of the conference finals, we will be doing a special basketball hour from 6 to 7 tomorrow night. Pre-game 7 to 7:30. No, I got that right, Jimmy? No, I get that wrong.
Joe Murray
from 7 to 7:30.
And then the fastest 30 minutes in the NBA was Sean Grande and Cedric Maxwell.
Wow, Joe Murray really gets porked in that one, huh? Wow. Basketball show for an hour, and Joe's like, why don't you just let them go 90 minutes and give me the night off? That's what I would argue.
There's post-game to do, and there's in-game.
That's what I would argue if I were Joe. But you know what? Joe's got the full 5Zs tonight. He's up next. We'll catch you tomorrow. Majorities, get your headlines.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, home of the Celtics, Bruins, Revs, and Patriots. Touchdown, Patriots. Boston's home for sports is 98.5, the Sports Hub. Easily needed group station. Sports Hub headlines.
Patriots had their first day of OTAs today. Among the notables not there were wide receiver Kendrick Bourne and linebacker Matthew Judon. They are both recovering from season-ending injuries that they suffered last season. It'll be a Celtics-Pacers Eastern Conference Final. That gets underway tomorrow night. The Celtics have already ruled out Kristaps Porzingis for Game 1. In the West, the Minnesota Timberwolves knocked off the defending champion Denver Nuggets in Game 7 in Denver last night. Timberwolves will now face the Mavs in the Western Conference Finals. For the first time since June 15th, 2011, there'll be a Game 7 in Vancouver as the Vancouver Canucks host the Edmonton Oilers tonight. Puck drop is at 9 o'clock. Red Sox and Rays, they are underway in the first game of a 3-game set. They are scoreless in the top of the second. And Xander Schauffele won the PGA Championship yesterday. Schauffele birdied the 18th hole to close it out at a defenseless Valhalla Golf Club. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Cape Cod Lumber and CCL Homescapes. 100% employee-owned, your go-to independent lumber yard. Partner with CCL and CCL Homescapes for all your building needs right in Abington. I'm Kevin Majori on Boston's Home for Sports 98.5 The Sports Hub. Joe Murray has you next in a half hour.
Boston's best sports talk. There's an app for that. Download the Sports Hub app for loads of stuff.